Evaluate working capital effectiveness of a company based on its operating and cash conversion cycles, and compare the company's effectiveness with that of peer companies. Working capital effectiveness describes how a company is managing its liquidity position. How well are they converting stock into cash? Are they paying their suppliers too quickly? There are two major indicators we can use to assess this idea of working capital effectiveness: the operating cycle and the cash conversion cycle. The operating cycle tells us how long, on average, raw materials are being converted into cash from sales. How long does inventory sit in the company, and then, once it's been sold, how long before we actually receive cash? The cash conversion cycle then adds the fact that our cash balances are propped up by the amount of time we delay on paying suppliers. How much are we offsetting the delays on the cash inflow side by the time we delay on the cash outflow side? When it comes to comparing these with our peer companies, remember that a higher cash conversion cycle is undesirable. Overall, we want raw materials to turn into cash as quickly as possible, and when the operating cycle is unavoidably long, we expect the management to maintain liquidity by using payables. A longer cash conversion cycle means that the company is excessively invested in working capital. Describe how different types of cash flows affect a company's net daily cash position. The daily cash position is a term used to describe the amount of cash a company has available for the immediate purchase of goods or for meeting immediate obligations. As you will be aware by now, the central goal of any working capital management plan is to ensure that this cash position stays positive. This uninvested cash sitting available for immediate use may seem like a waste of potential interest income, but it will be up to management to decide what level of uninvested cash represents an efficient safety net and at what point the opportunity cost comes into play. In practice, they will target a minimum cash balance as their ideal expected level, rather than trying to target a zero balance with perfectly offsetting inflows and outflows. On a daily basis, the team will have to balance inflows like cash flow from sales, collections from receivables, cash from subsidiaries, among others, with cash outflows like payments to employees and vendors, cash going out to subsidiaries, among others. Using available reporting and statistical analysis, the company will draw up short-term, medium-term, and long-term forecasts of their cash flow to most effectively maintain the necessary available funds while achieving the best possible return on their cash before it leaves. For a real-world example of a company that operates directly in this space, visit cashanalytics.com. There you will get an insight for how important cash flow forecasting and intelligent working capital management are in modern business. Calculate and interpret comparable yields on various securities, compare portfolio returns against a standard benchmark, and evaluate a company's short-term investment policy guidelines. The major takeaway from this LOS are these three major yield measures: the bank discount yield, also known as the discount basis yield, the money market yield, and the bond equivalent yield. The bank discount yield is calculated by this formula: face value minus price over face value times 360 over the number of days in the term. This method assumes 12 30-day months in the year. The money market yield then is calculated as face value minus price divided by price times 360 divided by the number of days in the term. The change here from the bank discount yield is that we are dividing by the purchase price rather than the face value. Finally then, the bond equivalent yield. This is calculated by taking the face value minus the price divided by the price times 365 divided by the number of days to maturity. The difference here from the money market yield is that we have adjusted the length of the year from 360 days to 365 days. When we look at the performance of a company's short-term investments, it's important to remember that the goal of an effective cash management policy is to earn a market return without taking on unnecessary liquidity or default risk, and the policy should be evaluated based on its ability to achieve that goal.